President Woodrow Wilson wanted the United States to be a leader in diplomatic resolutions for any conflicts in the world. He wished that the world could solve their problems through diplomacy, and the devastation of war simply isn't worth it. He offered a plan called the 14 Points. This was his blueprint to achieve a form of world peace. President Wilson's speech, featuring the 14 Points, was in January of 1918, in the midst of the United States' entry into World War I. Although all 14 points had their form of significance, key ones involved free trade and navigation of the seas, equality of trade conditions, adjust colonial claims that will adapt to the desired sovereignty levels of the population, meaning if the people being ruled want their own government, there should be an easier pathway for them to achieve it. Various occupied territories should be evacuated by the Central Powers, as well as Poland becoming an independent nation. The last point turned out to be the most contentious. Point 14 was the General Association of Nations, where political and territorial integrity of all nations participating in the assembly would be respected and recognized. This would be the League of Nations. Nations would join this international group, and the hope was to settle disputes, recognizing treaties and agreements, as well as agreeing to disarm and settle disputes through arbitration. Yeah, America wasn't on board with that last part at all. We ain't giving up nothing. We don't answer to anyone. Many politicians refused outright to consider joining the League of Nations. They didn't want to give up their autonomy at all. They believed no international governing body was going to tell them what to do. This is even true to this day, as the United States has never and will never recognize the International Criminal Court, also known as The Hague. The ICC can try to prosecute American criminals, but the US won't recognize it and dares them to try to implement justice. Just saying. Because of that mindset, as well as the fatigue of dealing with the problems of Europe, many Americans and politicians did not want to get involved in foreign affairs anymore. The League of Nations was created, and the United States didn't even join, despite being created by President Wilson. The League of Nations ultimately failed and dissolved in 1946. The United Nations essentially took its place.